Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. And of course, a very big welcome to Connie Bomber. Hey, Connie Bomber. Let's see who was here first. Uh, okay. Lydia Washington was here first. And Carolyn Miller, right? And let's see who else. Sherry Ware, Gwendolyn Daniels, Annie Bullard, Judy Muscatsid. I'm sure I'm not saying that right. Let's see. Mutacid. The Q is silent, right? Mutacid. Got it. Okay. And Sonia Johnson. Thank you for being so patient, by the way, Judy. Amaka Amachuawa. Amachukwa. There we go. Amachukwu. There we go. Got it. Puzzle Dot. Helen Marmon. And a host of friends and others, right? Otherwise, we'll be here all day or all night, as it were. Okay, let me just go ahead and scroll all the way down. Rick is here. Educate You Too wants to say hi to a few people. Excellent. Okay, let's get on with it, shall we? Let me hide myself here. Oh, wait, that's the wrong one. I'm supposed to be over here. I'm glad y'all said something. Okay, Rohini, I see you starting already. I, I'm going to get to that. Prince Harry and Princess Meghan photos. Most of you all have probably seen those new ones that came out. Archewell Foundation helps fund study, plus more. Yeah. Look at that thumbnail. Isn't that beautiful? I kind of threw that together myself. Um, but I had to, the thing that I had to do um, was that Harry looked a little too pale. It wasn't because of him, but when you cut the photo out, it it makes it pale in comparison to what the original tone may have been. So I had to tone him down a little bit, and so it would look at least like they were standing together. But you probably recognize that suit from another occasion. Okay. Uh, okay. All right, good. Hey, Martine Denise, Marcia Ware, Brenda Lee, B. Thomas, Rohini. Rohini's feeling better, can you all tell? And Sean is here. Hey, Sean. Okay, so 41,000 subscribers today. 41K today. Yes, 41K. It happened so fast, I think everybody missed it, right? Yep, well, 41K today. So we won't make a big fuss until we get to that 45 and 50. Yo, thank you so much. And you have been so patient with me because I have been doing my level best, but I'm like, no, that can't be right. But thank you so much. And thank you for being a member of Royal Sussex. All right. So 41K today. What do you say? 41K. Not that I'm paying attention, but to all of the new people that have just joined Royal Sussex, whether you're a subscriber or you're a subscriber and have a membership, but I want to appeal to those who have been watching and listening every day who have not established a membership. Now, some people have done memberships without that. Like, for instance, Jerry White, who I mentioned from time to time. Jerry White does her own kind of thing. So that's cool too. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you for supporting this channel. And I'm sending out my best to Jerry White. I hope to speak to you real soon. Um, let me see here. Oh, thank you, Maggie Howell. All right. And let me take that away. Okay. And here we go. So, Misan Harriman, some wonderful moments from this year's Invictus Games. And it is very nice, isn't it? So let's do some close-ups so we can see. Oh, thank you so much. From PP. Thank you very much, PP. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. See what I mean? Some people do their own thing without the regular type of membership. Thank you for the PayPal. All right. Okay. And there you go. So this one is a wide angle, which is reminiscent of what we saw in Australia. You know, I wasn't really paying attention to the Invictus Games in Australia. And that makes me feel like I need to go back and look at it because I really think I must have missed something really big. I'm going to say the first time I ever really paid attention to the Invictus Games was likely The Hague. I think that was it, The Hague. So it would be to my advantage, I suppose, to go back and research those because I'm sure I missed some pretty key moments, and I would like to see that. So maybe that'll be my project one of these days, is to go back and take a look at some of the other prior Invictus Games. And right here, I'm not sure who the athlete is or competitor, but very sweet moment with the Duchess of Sussex. And you can tell about what period during the Invictus Games by whatever she's wearing. So with that one, that long coat, I'm going to say that was the last day, right? That was day, what, number 6, number 7? That was before, okay, that was the day that she read the books to the kids, right? And also, what else happened that day? Well, the closing ceremony, if I'm correct. Am I right about that, or was that the day before the closing ceremony? Well, anyway, our Duchess looked très chic. And again, Misan Harriman, with his ability to bring moments alive using the very stylistic black and white photography. Love that. Connie Balmer, thank you for the super sticker. And thank you for being a member of Royal Sussex. Happy Sunday morning to you. Happy Sunday morning. Connie, I've been talking to my aunt. I'm trying to convince her she needs to go to Switzerland. She thinks about it all the time. I'm trying to convince her. This one right here. I love the way that the president of Germany, Steinmeier, and the other guy, I apologize, I cannot remember his name. I love the way that they're just kind of like looking to the Sussexes to make sure or reassure or whatever is going on here, but it's definitely a look of mutual approval with the way things are going. This is a very, very big moment for Germany, not just for Invictus Games, but Germany had some issues that we learned about later on about their relationship with German members of the military. And because of Invictus Game, they are going to go the extra mile to provide recognition for wounded or sick soldiers, also to provide them with facilities and goals and teams that they can join away from Invictus. They want to do something once a year. They want to bring out the participating veterans once a year so that they can have something to look forward to, so that they can continue to grow this community that they have amongst the military veterans. And of course, as you know, there were quite a few, I think there was over 1,000 uniformed military people that had gone through the Invictus Games. They had the NATO Day. They took the photo with the NATO family. So I'm pretty sure nobody wants war, but in the modern age, somehow it seems like it's still a thing. I hesitate to say necessary, but it is still a thing. And it's not up to us to cast our judgment or should I say, upon the military, uh, enlisted soldiers, the veterans, their families. That is not our role. Our role is to support them, because you could always make the argument about whether or not war is necessary. Um, none of us have all the answers, unfortunately. Is we don't know why these things happen, but what we do know is that the people that are in uniform, they're there because they genuinely want to protect our freedom. They want to protect our liberty. They want to bring peace and stability. Now, again, you could always put a big asterisk next to it, but let us not um, put that upon the soldiers, because they are making the ultimate sacrifice, not us. And for those who have not served, we're supposed to be there to thank them for their service. And that's one of the things that was in that article. Harry moved from the UK to the United States, a place where people actually thank the soldiers for their service. And that is a thing, that is part of the culture here in the US. And I didn't think that that was something that was lacking anyplace else, but haven't I learned something? Haven't we all learned something? I think you could say that a lot of people in Germany have maybe woke up to something they didn't know that was a problem. So good for the everyone involved with the Invictus Games. Thank you so much, Rick, for the super sticker, and thank you for being here tonight as per usual. Greatly appreciate it. Lorna Williams says, even if there was no war, peacekeepers also get injured and died trying to keep the peace. Canada has a significant peacekeeping force. Thank you so much for reminding us about that, Lorna. That is absolutely correct. Peacekeepers, and of course, let us not forget the nurses, the doctors, the corpsmen, those people that are there to help to heal, to keep them comfortable. All of those is all families. We are recognizing more and more every day. Families are part of the unit, the family sacrifice. So, thank you very much for that reminder. Carolyn Mentor says, I believe we in the U.S. would think differently if war were fought on our shores. Very true. And we were attacked on 9/11. Um, and I believe that was the first time that we've ever had something like that from the outside, on such an epic scale. So I think we get the message. I definitely think we get the message. But, the thing is, the public is very fickle, and it's amazing how fast we go back to doing our day to day things. And it's almost like the global pandemic was years ago, not as recent as it was. So yeah, the public is very fickle. Let's see. Oh, MR, thank you so much for the Cash App, and thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Thank you for your comment, by the way. Let's go to one more. And there is the Duchess wearing that gorgeous laser cut, I believe it's leather, vegan leather dress. And yeah, this is like one of those behind the scenes, but it's so almost It seems so majestic, almost with the black and white tones, the way the light kind of plays on the room. It's incredible the difference between a color photo and a black and white photo, and especially using those black, white, and silver tones um, through Misan Harriman's lens. This is someone who just picked up a camera a few years ago, and look at what he's able to do. I mean, that's the art right there, is to be able to capture those moments. You got to be quick. You got to use your instincts. You just have to know. It's amazing how some people can pick up a camera and it's just like, did you even try? And then when someone like Misan Harriman picks up a camera, it is magic. So, very, very cool. Now, let's go to this one right here. Speaking of Australia, you obviously recognize the Opera House in the background. Um, I love those windows, by the way, the smoky, like brownish tinted glass. Very cool. Um, never noticed that before, but that is really cool. Well, there's the Duchess observing Harry, perhaps there to give some pointers or confidence or moral support, whatever was needed in the moment. That is why the Duchess of Sussex is there. And we all have our suspicions that one of the reasons why Harry has been such an incredible, effective speaker in the past couple years is due in part to the fact that he is married to the Duchess of Sussex. And of course, maybe some of her abilities have kind of rubbed off. We know her sense of fashion seems to have rubbed off a bit. Harry has never been more stylish in his life. um, I was looking at an older photo of him, like when they first got together, and he hadn't taken that leap to better footwear yet. And it's a process, so that's okay. But compared to now, I'm like, wow. And these were dress shoes that he was wearing, but they just weren't quite there yet. So, thanks to our Duchess, he has arrived. And there we go. So you can see the comparison. Above is Sydney, I think it was, and below you can see Dusseldorf. Much wider angle there, but still legs crossed, full gaze and attention. That is amazing. Beautiful. Love it. Thank you, Duchess of Sussex. Thank you, Duke of Sussex, for the Invictus Games. Yeah, that is special. Okay. And now let's get to the Senator. I'm not even sure. Senator Sussex? Senator Markle? Um, I told someone, I'm not making this up, as soon as I heard about the passing, the very sad passing of Dianne Feinstein, I said, here we go, because it is, they have been making this assertion that Meghan is after politics. Meghan wants to be a politician. We've all had fun with the idea of Harry as the first gentleman and all that stuff, but come on, Meghan is not running for public office. If she were to choose to do that, of course she would have our full support. But she's got two little ones at home, and she has already been vetted by the British tabloid media, scrutinized by them for years, and it could only get worse if you try to run for public office. Not to say that that's the reason why she would or would not do it, but the Democrats, and I'm mostly saying this for people who are not as aware of how the politics work here, but each state has two United States senators, no matter how big or small the state. Each state has a congressman or woman. The congressman or woman is based on the population of the state. So as the country grows, let's see, there is, what is it, 435 members of Congress? Well, they divide the population of the United States into those 435 seats. At first, Congress just kept growing. The bigger the population, so let's say for every 5,000 people back then or 10,000 people, there was another congressman allowed. Then they put a cap on it at 435. So there's 435 members of Congress, the House of Representatives, the lower house, and then the upper house, if you will, the United States Senate, there's exactly 100. And no matter how big or small the state, you can have two senators. But if you live in a state with a very small population, you might have just two congressmen, three congressmen. But again, it's divided amongst the, let's say, 330 million people. So what is that? About 750,000 people represented per congressman. I don't know what the exact math is, but that's how we figure it out. And so for the United States Senate, when a senator runs for office, they could run as an independent, a Democrat, or a Republican. If the senator is unable to complete his or her term, the governor of that state can choose an interim senator to fill that seat until an election is held. And by doing so, it's more likely that the governor, if the governor is a Democrat, he is going to help his party by putting a Democrat in there, which is the only reason why they're entertaining the idea of the Duchess of Sussex, assuming that she's a Democrat. We don't know. She might be an independent. Okay. And likewise, if it was a Republican, they would put a Republican in the United States Senate. So that is how we decide who goes to the Senate. Now, there was a time before a constitutional amendment that the governor would always choose a senator. But then, after that constitutional amendment, the senators have a term of 6 years. And they, what do you call it? They can run as often as they like, every 6 years if they like. And so it's not like before where they would just choose the senator chosen by the governor. Now they have to be elected by the state. So that is my little civics lesson for today. So, yes, it is possible that Governor Newsom could name anybody he liked to be a senator from the state of California, but he is likely to choose someone who can stand the next election. It won't be done based on anybody's seniority or popularity. It is the likelihood that that person could actually make it through the next election. Now, there is a possibility that he could put someone in that seat that is not seeking election to be elected. That's a possibility, not likely, but that's a possibility. Someone else can run for that seat. But so, yes, there is always that possibility that a resident of the state of California could be handpicked by the governor to represent the state in Washington, D.C. And yes, it's possible that that could be Meghan. However, not likely at all. And I would rather that Meghan, especially after everything that she's been through, Meghan is looking to do some things behind the scenes, not upfront and personal like that, negotiating with all the people in Congress. It's a tough job. It's not really that easy. I mean, it's easy for some, but you have a staff, you have all types of allowances and such. The pay is okay, but Yeah, I doubt it. So, what do you all think? Senator Duchess, Black Queen. Oh, all right. Let's see there. That was for someone else. All right. Let me see. Anybody else? Okay. Okay, so Katie Porter and Adam Schiff are running for Feinstein's seat. Representative Barbara Lee, any one of these could be in Feinstein's seat. Newsom will appoint someone. Yes, exactly. Newsom is going to find someone who is electable. Newsom would anger a lot of people if he didn't choose someone who is already representing the state. He would definitely it'd make a lot of people angry. It would probably be someone who has raised funds for the party, someone who has chaired committees and such, and has experience with that. That is the likelihood. So it's fun to think about, but no. Meghan would be more restricted in all endeavors she does now if she was in the elected office. That is what the royal family want to silence her again. Yeah, well, politics is just plain ugly. I would not want that for her. And then, of course, there's that old saying, politics is the last refuge of the incompetent. Not to say that, politicians are incompetent, but that's just an old saying. Um, well, in terms of being restricted, I don't know. I mean, as a junior senator, you definitely would be expected to lay low until you build up seniority, and that could take years given how old some of the senators are. But I remember when Hillary Clinton first went to the Senate, and the Republicans were getting pretty salty with her because Hillary had this huge presence on Capitol Hill, mostly because she had a Secret Service detail, something that most senators do not have. But as the former First Lady, she's always going to have a Secret Service detail. And so when she moved about, there was a bit of, it was kind of like when the royals go and do these visits where you have the royal protection officers, you have a couple of vehicles in the motorcade. That is how Hillary Clinton travels. And as a United States senator, it made her seem like she had more seniority, but really only like the what do you call it, the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. He probably has his protection detail. The Speaker of the House, people who have those high committee seats and such, they may have Secret Service details determined by the Congress, I suppose. But yeah, there are a few people that would, besides the president and vice president. So Hillary Clinton had this big presence on Capitol Hill, and they were like really ticked off with her about that. But it wasn't anything that she could do about it. That's something that comes with her. So, and it would be the same thing. It would be the same thing. So, again, it is fun to think about, but Meghan would have like this star like status, this big celebrity status, and it would cause a great deal of jealousy even amongst her own party. So yeah, it's a fun exercise, but I would not give it any second thoughts. Interesting, but not very likely at all. Not in the least bit. Jill Woodcock says, I agree, not likely. Meghan wants to raise her babies and enjoy her wonderful new life in Montecito, supporting Harry and loving on their babies. Yeah. So for now, let's just say a big no. But, in the future, anything's possible. Um, there's a lot of people that that start a new career at age 50, age 60. Do you guys know that Mae West was 40 years old when she went to Hollywood? 40 years old. Mae West was 40 years old when she made her first movie. So, as they say, it ain't over till it's over. But for now, we have little ones at home that are in much need of attention and guidance and love. And of course, the Sussexes, in spite of what the tabloid media have said, the Sussexes have maintained themselves with the dignity of their positions at every turn. Um, writing a book and doing a documentary, that is nothing outside of what the royal family has done in the past. So you can't say that they have done things so different, but of course, they are more popular than any other member of the family. So, of course, it makes a bigger impact, but they haven't done anything that you would say is unroyal or unregal or undignified. You can't put that on them. You could argue that case if you just don't like them. Sure, you can make up anything, but they have, maintained their positions as royals, and whether or not they're considered to be a working royal within the House of Windsor, they are still doing their due diligence, representing the the virtues of their positions. So let me see. Okay, all right. I think I'm ready to move on from that. Oh well, just about ready. I'm just giving you a little glimpse of what it would look like if 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 Senator Duchess, Madam Duchess Senator, just a little just a little business, taking care of business. I was looking through my photos and I saw these and I'm just like, well, I mean, that looks like a senator to me. So all right, so just a little tease for you all, just to mess with your heads a little bit. This is probably what it would look like if you remember when they went to Ireland, rather than wearing the garish green colors of the other Duchess at the time, she decided to wear something a little more subdued, something that wouldn't be offensive, something that would not irritate the octave nerves within the eyes of all of the people of Ireland. She played it really subtle. So, yeah, but again, this is as far as we go. All right, we are ready to move on. So, no more talk of Senator Meghan. That's just a little fantasy. There's no legitimate connections to the real life Duchess of Sussex. Because, yes, I would be very shady and gleeful and full of myself if let's say President Biden went over to a an official function, and as part of the delegation from the US, Senator Meghan was came along. Okay, listen, you all, let's stop. This is just a ridiculous fantasy. This is not going to happen at all. And yes, it's fun. I'm having fun. You're having fun. Everybody's having fun. But but that's as far as we go. All right. Now everybody get off of this idea of a Senator Megan. Okay. But the thing is, all I can think about is how the tabloid media, how the royal rodents, how they would react to something like that. And I'm not going to lie to you. Every time I think about that, my face just lights up like a Christmas tree. Could you imagine how upset they would be? They would be incandescent with rage. But again, none of that is going to happen. It's just a little fun fantasy. We don't expect anything like that to ever come to pass because the Sussexes are on a different path in life, and so it's okay to have fun with it. Could you imagine? Could you imagine that troll Angela Levin? Could you imagine her? Oh, she would be so like messed up in the head. I mean, I could imagine her hyperventilating. That's what I think. Angela Levin would just be hyperventilating and probably they would have to take her to the hospital. They'll be like, you know what? Um, you don't look good. they, they would have to take her to the hospital. Um, they'd have to prep for surgery. Angela Levin, that thing on her head would just crawl off of her head and leave her bald and yowling in the wind probably. But yeah, she would be messed up because of that. So all right, I am moving on. There'll be no more discussion about Senator Meghan. No matter how much fun it is, no matter how big my smile is, that's it. We're done. We are moving on to the next topic. Let me see here. However, let me see. I'm looking for something. Yeah, I was actually stalling, but I don't see it, so never mind. Huh. Or do I? Yeah, I don't see it, so never mind. I wanted to show you guys that, well, or I could just do this. Straight out of Buckingham. Straight out of Buckingham. Cloud Nugget has done it again. Continue to show my support for Peggy and Karen's latest We Love You Black People project. They struggle with incompetence on the dangerous streets of Buckingham, coming to Wales this October. So, yes, there it is. Cloud Nugget somehow has managed to get a copy of the poster for the up. This is why they have been having a film crew following them around because they have been planning their, you know, little short. They probably are assuming that, and it is a possibility, that there will be an Oscar nomination for Heart of Invictus. So, in order to try to outdo the Sussexes as usual, they have come up with a diabolical plan of their own to try and, you know, jockey for a position with the Academy Award. So, I'm not surprised. I have to tell you all, I am not surprised because they're jealous. They're just jealous. And they would do anything to try to steal the Sussex's thunder. So it appears as though we have a message from Her Majesty the Queen. And as such, we have to make sure that there is a proper introduction. So let me find my proper introduction. All right, here goes. Okay, message. I, Queen Elizabeth, and the second ruler of the dwindling United Kingdom and what's left of the Commonwealth, do hereby declare Baron Charles didn't become king until I was 80, and Camilla became something at the age of 150. Queen out. As we are not really sure about Camilla's age, I actually have something coming up for that. But thank you, Your Majesty. It's incredible that, in spite of all of the people who can commune on the other side, that you have chosen, you have chosen Sean to convey these messages is incredible. But thank you so much, Your Majesty. Queen out. All right. All right. So that that is Her Majesty from the Great Beyond, and probably one of the biggest reasons why I'll probably never get invited to Montecito. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if I ever met the Sussexes and Harry pulls out his cell phone and goes, "Can I ask you a question? What's this?" I, Queen Elizabeth. What could I say at that point? What could I say? uh, I wouldn't be no good. You know that, don't you? I would end up having to go to the hospital. Let me see. Oh, what's that, Rachel? Thanks everyone for the thoughtful wishes. He's in real pain, taking pain relief every 4 hours, but I'm hopeful he'll be fine soon. Though I was told it will take 6 weeks to heal. Now, 6 weeks, that's an injury for a younger person, because older people, especially if there's a bone involved, it usually takes 8 weeks. I found that out. Uh-huh. Okay. Well, I don't know what happened, but best wishes. Best wishes. Okay. Okay. And let me see. Angela would have a fit. Surely she would. Oh yeah. Yeah. That thing that she carries on her head, whatever that is, that thing would probably just it would just probably just roll off her head and um backside down just kick and dissolve. Yeah, whatever that thing is that she has on, whatever vertebrae she's carrying around on top of her head, that thing would probably just it is a mammal. I'm assuming because of the hair that it's a mammal, right? If it had scales, I would think it was reptilian. But I do think that that is a mammal. But whatever it is she's carrying around on her head, that would probably just kind of curl up in a little ball on the floor until it stops moving. Um, we're not sure what it is. We're not sure. Uh, where was I? Okay, so take a look here. Now, I don't know how I missed this, but look at the date. It is from May the 10th, 2023. Prince Harry fans flocked to Express poll to crown him coronation favorite. Now, you see there, listen to that very carefully. Prince Harry's fans flocked to Express poll to crown him coronation favorite. They are trying to explain away the absence of votes for the other family members. Prince Harry maintained a low profile throughout his hour-long spell in London, hours, that is, long spell in London, but that didn't stop his fans from coming out in support of his flyby appearance. So They had a poll in the Express. The Express readers voted in the poll. And in that poll, take a look there. Prince Harry, 11,671 votes. Her head is where hamsters go to die. Thank you, Alan Vernon. Now it all makes sense. Kate, Princess of Wales, 1,752 votes. William, 1,571 votes. Charles, he got 790 votes. Now remember, this is for the coronation. And then there's Charlotte, Louis, Anne, Camilla, Prince George, only 121. They do know that that kid is the future king, right? And then James, the Earl of Wessex, remember this was before they gave him that title. Notice that Harry got 66% of the vote, leaving the remaining 34 or 35, 30, no, I'm going to say 33 plus percentage to be divided amongst the family. Isn't that something? Well, 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 if it isn't the consequences of King Charles III's actions, if it isn't the consequences of the Cambridges, now the Waleses' actions. So we're going to say what? 12,000 people voted. I believe that was it. It was 12,000 people. And out of the 12,000, Harry got 11,000. Oh no, it was more than 12,000. But anyway, Harry got 11,671 votes. That was everyone's favorite at the, he was everyone's favorite at the coronation. Harry, the one that everybody was putting down, the one that everybody was talking about, the one that had a feather in front of him, the one who, what was the other thing they were saying? That wasn't in uniform. He had no role. I think his role was to help people find a reason to watch the coronation in the first place. And this whole thing about his fans flocking over to the Express, nobody flocked over to the Express. Those are the usual Express readers. More people that read the Express those are the people that voted for Harry. It had nothing to do with the Sussex squad. It had nothing to do with Harry's fans. That's just how people felt. That is some of the best evidence available that they were wrong to deny him a uniform. They were wrong to make this big fuss about whether he's coming, whether he's welcome. Should he come? Should he not come? Will he stay or won't he stay? Will he go to the luncheon or won't he go to the luncheon? They were wrong to do that. They should have just said nothing but the usual things that you would say at a moment when you're supposed to be bringing the nation together, not dividing people. But they decided to go for the divide and conquer. Well, Harry rules. Which brings me to this sorry sight. Oh my God, look at that sorry, pitiful sight. This looks like some type of Gothic novel or something like that. This looks like the Victorian age version of the Stepford Wives. I guess the town of Stepford, we think of it as being a modern American town, right? Well, obviously, it was Stepfordshire. Yeah, the town of Stepfordshire with the Stepfordshire wives. After the event, Express.com UK asked its readers who their favorite royal of the coronation was. The people's verdict is now in. The winner's attendance may only have been confirmed by Buckingham Palace last month, and he may have been given no formal role in the coronation proceedings, being set in the third row with Prince Andrew, but Prince Harry was voted readers' favorite royal of the weekend, despite spending just 28 hours on UK soil for the ceremony. The Duke of Sussex evidently made his lasting impression as his fans stormed the polls. Nobody stormed the darn polls. It was just a matter of Harry being more popular than anybody else in the family. That's it. Out of all the people that were at the coronation, the only people that anyone had any love or sympathy or consideration was Harry. You would think that the children would have garnered more than 150, 120 votes. Harry was able to secure 11,671. If they had to vote for the next monarch, what do you think would happen if they were given the opportunity to vote for the next monarch? Now, those things don't happen, of course, but if that were to happen, who do you think they would vote for? Kate? Could you imagine if they were voting for monarch and there was a debate and Kate was in a debate? Could you imagine that? Now, of course, given this staggering result of that poll, we had to reach out. We had to reach out to Kensington Palace for comment.
Obviously, it'd be. I would love to have met her, and she's obviously she's an inspirational woman to look up to. Obviously, to this day, and going forward and things. It is. It's a wonderful family. The members who I've met have achieved a lot, and very inspirational. So, yeah, I do.
Well, and in the spirit of reaching out to Kensington Palace, of course, we had to reach out to one of the British media reporters.
Reasons Catherine is so popular amongst certain demographics, and I'm going to say older people and men, is because she says absolutely nothing. Yeah. She's a good little girl who keeps quiet and doesn't complain, doesn't do anything, doesn't rock the boat, and is a very traditional, old-fashioned, mute woman.
So that is one of the things that I would say would definitely be in her favor, is that she is an old-fashioned mute woman. But Judy says, new country cornflake song. New country cornflake song. Okay. I would love to hear that one, actually. And let me see here. Meghan Hine Murray, a super sticker. Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Happy Saturday night, Sunday morning. Thank you very much for being here. Okay. I wish Europe would go pick up those European Americans who stormed the Capitol during the insurrection. Well, that was a day I will never forget. That's for sure. Let's hope nothing like that ever happens again. Let me see. Well, I mean, that was a generous helping of word salad. Yes, that was a word salad. And so let's go back to this photo, shall we? Now, this is the Prince of Wales, the Princess of Wales, the Duchess of Edinburgh, and the Duke of Edinburgh. And this is supposed to be the new Fab Four, a formidable team of players that will go out and carry out royal duties. Yes, they look rather provincial, somewhat. I'm telling you, it's like some type of a Gothic novel come to life. And there's Harry, just showing up for 28 hours, coat hanger in hand. Um, and of course, he has the iPhone. I'm guessing that's the 14 Pro Max. He's wearing his Dior morning suit, right? And he is ready to hop on the plane and get the heck out of there because it's Prince Archie's birthday. And so he's got some birthday partying to do. But Harry was magnificent. If there's any doubt as to how Harry conducted himself that day and the approval of the public, you see, they're trying to explain it away by claiming that we all ran and stormed their poll. I'm surprised that they even released that poll. I'm surprised they released it, unless secretly there might be some sentiments at the Express News that is in favor of the Sussexes, but they are duty bound to make money with hate. But every so often they do seem to go against the grain. Every so often, but mostly they're there for the money. But be that as it may, almost 12,000 people voted in favor of Harry. Almost 12,000. That's embarrassing. What was that, like 84, 85%? That's embarrassing. They ought to be embarrassed. All the money they spent on the coronation, all of the clothes that they were wearing, ermine fur and diamonds and all of that. And here comes Harry, the reject of the family, right? They have turned him into a pariah, and he walks in just as charming as ever, and walks out having received over what was it, 11,000 votes or whatever it was. Yeah, that's embarrassing. They ought to be embarrassed. They really ought to be embarrassed. How do you explain this? The only way that they could try to make sense out of it is to claim that his fans stormed, like we all got on social media. Psst, 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 psst. Yes, yes, hurry up, get over to the Express. Go vote at the Express. There was more news coming out in that 24-hour period because of the coronation. I didn't even know that this poll existed. I didn't even know that this was a thing until one of the squaddies posted it today. And I'm looking at the news all day, every day. I didn't even know it was a thing. So how do you explain 11,671 votes? 66% of the votes. How do you explain that? Where does that come from? And Catherine the Great, less than 2,000. William, 1,500. They had William had a big role that day, huh? And Camilla, wasn't she being crowned? Wasn't Camilla being crowned? She only got 160 votes, 1%. The king, 4%, and the pariah, the what do you call it? The castaway gets 11,671 votes. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, that is the Express, right? M. Covington, thank you for the super sticker, and thank you for being a member of Royal Sussex. Kim Coates says Harry rises above the fray and the unroyals can't handle it. What really baked their bacon was Meghan's absence, killing the cash for the tabloids. Yes, although I think they did okay with Harry there for sure. But that's embarrassing. That is embarrassing. If only more people in the British public understood value for money. $1 billion for a funeral, $1 billion for a coronation, hundreds of millions of dollars in manpower, in lost productivity. All of that money that was spent or lost because of these things that are supposed to bring tourism, and yet a little trashy newspaper like the Daily Express runs a poll asking who was your favorite at the coronation, and it's the man that spent 28 hours from wheels down to wheels up, wheels down, wheels up, and back to Montecito. That's who gets 66% of the votes. That isn't that about the amount of popularity that they claim the royal family has amongst the greater public in the UK? That over 60% of the people still want to have the monarchy. That's down from like 70% or whatever it used to be. Wow. Wow. I think they should have a really comprehensive poll, not just sticking with the usual pool of people, but they should have a more comprehensive poll. Instead of going to the US and polling people about a prince that most people don't even know exists, why don't they? And then, of course, compare them to people like Adolf Hitler and those kind of people. Why don't they have a poll where they would, really ask these questions? They should have a real poll in the UK, outside the UK. That's embarrassing. So, Princess Kate and Sophie are new power duo as Charles places them at forefront of firm. Well, that also happened last May. Princess Kate and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, are expected to step up in the king's new plan for a slim down. I'm so tired of hearing about a doggone slim down monarchy. Let me know how that works out. Sophie go places and nobody knows she's there. Kate goes places and can't say anything. She just sits at a table with other people's kids and do a lot of grinning and hand jiving, and she's out. Now, poor Sophie. Long as Sophie understands that she's always going to be second fiddle. And as a matter of fact, once Sophie grows up, they really won't have much need for, I'm sorry, not Sophie, Charlotte. Once Charlotte grows up, they won't have any need for Sophie. Sophie is going to be like the Gloucesters. Yeah, she's going to be like the Duke of Gloucester, the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester. Their roles will be greatly reduced. They're going to be like the Kents. Yeah, she's going to be like the Kents. The Duke and Duchess of Kent. Yeah. Princess Michael. No, actually, Princess Michael is not a duchess. No, she's a countess, right? Princess Michael of Kent. Yeah, she's not a duchess. That's the other brother. That's the Duke of Kent. They're just little hanger-ons. Yeah, I almost forgot. She's not married to a duke. She's not a duchess. She's just a countess, I think. But long as they know what their position is, Sophie is going to spend the rest of her life following behind someone who can barely have a conversation. The person who asked the age-old question, "Can you smell the taste by smell?" No, can you taste the smell by smelling it? Can you smell the taste by? Oh, and who can forget? Who can forget that day that we caught Sophie glancing uh, painfully at Catherine? If you look to the far left, you can see Catherine's reflection in the mirror. And there is Sophie with that forlorn look on her face, with that pained, sad, heartbroken look on her face, hoping and waiting and praying for the day that she will become a duchess herself. Well, this was while she was waiting to be a duchess. So there she is looking at Kate, who has been elevated to Princess of Wales. And at the time, she was still just a plain old Countess of Wessex, the same thing she was back in 1999. She had been a duchess, a countess since the turn of the century. And here we are, 23 years strong into the millennium, and she has only just now caught up to Kate, only to find out that Kate is actually still ahead of her. So she's always going to be just, just there to walk behind Kate. She's going to walk behind Kate, and poor Edward is going to walk behind William, right? And that is only until the Cambridge kids are old enough to start doing these things, and then they'll have to walk behind the children. So Sophie is going to walk behind Charlotte. Yeah. And look at there. Look at her head down. I love these photos. These are like some of my favorite photos. Look at the pain on her face. Look at the anguish and disappointment. She had some high-minded ideas when she got to that family. If only they could have made her a duchess sooner, but well, Philip decided to live to age 99 just to make sure it never happened. And well, Edward is kind of used to it, but for Sophie, who is so ambitious, this has got to be painful. Look at there. Poor Sophie walking behind somebody like Kate Middleton. Oh, well, the thing is, I believe that Sophie is still required to curtsy to Meghan. Am I correct? Am I correct when I say that she's still required to curtsy to Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex? I think she is. But for sure, it's not ever going to be the other way around. It never, ever will be the other way around. So get used to it. I still don't know why she has that piece of yellow toilet paper on her chest, but I don't know. And of course, when it comes to being serene and elegant, somehow I have managed to get an X-ray of Sophie in comparison to the Duchess of Sussex. These illustrations gives you a chance to see how the pain and disappointment of being the other mean girl in the family is weighing down on her frame. You see that? See how dumpy she looks? There is the serene, elegant, ethereal Duchess of Sussex, and there's that little dumpy, slouchy, downtrodden Sophie Wessex, Ford Fiesta. It is a shame, isn't it? She was feeling so superior. Notice how she's walking ahead of Meghan. Shouldn't it be the other way around? And yet, there she is, a countess leading the way. She's supposed to walk behind Meghan, not in front of her, but she's getting above herself, isn't she? She figured that if she acts the most hostile, if she conducts herself in the most hostile manner, that she would be able to get away with this. I mean, she's just so sad. Even her rib cage is shifting. And of course, you may wonder, especially if you're new to the Sussex squad, you may be wondering, why am I this way about Sophie? Well, there's Sophie on the last official engagement of the Sussexes, the last official engagement, Commonwealth Day, and there's Sophie throwing shade like she's a blood princess, like she actually was born into that family instead of born to some shopkeeper or horse groomer or whatever her lineage is. Wherever she came from, it wasn't any place nearly as grand as she pretends to be. But there she is looking down her nose. Now, you can see in the photo, I've seen the video, she doesn't actually speak, she just looks. Edward, of course, has some manners, and Edward decided to carry on a conversation with the Sussexes. But Sophie was being so high and mighty, she just looks down there with this hostility, like somebody did something to her, like someone as if the Sussexes were the ones who recorded her trashing the royal family on video, right? Remember that? Sophie was caught trashing the royal family. Oh, she said some terrible things. She had to apologize to the queen and everything. Sophie, the one who came to the family penniless now. She came to the family penniless. And if it wasn't for Edward, she wouldn't have anything. Meghan came into the family with about $5 million. Sophie came into the family with debt from a company that went bankrupt, a public relations company at that went bankrupt. And there she is throwing more shade. Fast forward to September of 2022, the Queen is at the about to be laid to rest at the let's see, this is at Westminster Abbey. So they have to go to the St. George Chapel at the Windsor Castle for the burial, for the last service and burial. And there she is throwing shade like somebody did something to her. I still don't understand what happened. What is that about? Exactly what is the offense? Because Harry didn't want to be stuck there like you and Edwina? Is that what's bothering you? Is it because she looks better in a jumpsuit? And then look at Charlotte. Charlotte is confused. Why is Auntie Sophie throwing so much shade to Auntie Meghan? Why is she doing that? So I hope when the time comes when she will be required to walk behind Charlotte, she'll think about this moment, because she's going to be walking behind everybody that's up there. That's who she's supposed to walk behind. You see there? Throwing shade at the Westminster Abbey, throwing shade outside Westminster Abbey, looking sad and downtrodden because she's following Kate around, looking shady from the back seat of the car. Everybody else is, okay, the Queen was 96, but her, she's looking like there was something horrible that happened to the Queen, not natural causes, or even worse. Is that look supposed to convey to the public that the Sussexes did something? And then at the bottom, as they're leaving St. George Chapel, There she is, glaring at the back of Meghan. What is you looking at? What's your problem? You ain't supposed to be there yourself. You only just got in there. It took 23 years for them to give you the title of Duchess. And when the time comes when she goes to her glory, when Edward goes to the other side, when they're both dead and gone, the title goes right back to the crown. The title goes back to the crown. They don't even get to hand it down to their children. Maybe that's why she's upset. Maybe. But either way, she is furious. Oh, you think so, Ruth Lopez? Oh, let me see. Meghan Markle was the richest royal bride in history, not to be mentioned, not to mention, should I say, the smartest, most beautiful, intelligent, elegant, poised, articulate, and nasty lemon Karen riding in that car looking so mean. And you know what, Monte Cristo, I mentioned on Royal Sussex, you can go back and check, although I don't know why you would. I had thought about the lineup for that day, and I said, oh my God, Meghan is going to have to ride in the car with Sophie. She's going to end up in the car with Sophie, because if they're doing 2 and 2, it's going to be, what's her name? Camilla and Kate. And then next in the pecking order is going to be Meghan and this one here. I didn't want to be right about it, but I knew the day before that was going to happen, that they would end up in the car together. Let me see. We may find out one day, Kim Coates. We may find out. Gwen Daniels says, now in this picture, I would have said that person, the okay, let me move on. And of course, the Queen did leave her something. The Queen, who is known to have a wry sense of humor, she did have one of the courtiers, one of the footmen, go out to the garden and take the corgis for their walk. And when they returned, as requested, the Queen got a little plastic bag filled with calling cards. And so that bag was actually gifted to Sophie. And well, as you can see in the photo there, Sophie is actually wearing the gift on her head. So you can't say the Queen didn't leave her something. Now, it was agreed that she would have the title of Duke of or Duchess of Edinburgh whenever Philip died. And of course, Philip had been dead and buried, and they still didn't give it to her. And then finally, Charles decided to forward the title to Sophie, but only until Edward is no longer here, and then the title goes back to the crown. So, but yeah, there you go. There is her poop hat. There's her poop hat. Poor Sophie. All of that riding around with the Queen and smiling and laughing at the Queen's jokes. And what did she get in return? A bag of crap. Corgi crap. And right here, look at that caption at the bottom. Temper. Friends say the Countess has a reputation for being grand. Here she is marching off after the confrontation. Well, Sophie loved yelling at the royal protection officers. As a matter of fact, it makes me wonder if she was yelling that day when well, I can't say what day, but it makes me wonder if she was being grand and yelling when her motorcade, well, I don't want to say, but I'm just saying, I wonder if she was being grand when that happened. I wonder. I can't say because I don't know, but she seems to have a bit of a temper. As a matter of fact, I've saw some other articles saying the same thing, and you won't believe that some of the royal reporters were calling her out for being a bit much. Yeah, yeah, she's something else now. She's something else. She tries to pretend as though she's all about duty, but she's actually a very ambitious person, which is why Edward married her, is because they were supposed to be a power couple. They were supposed to have this production company where they would make documentaries and stuff. And they were supposed to have the PR firm, I guess, to promote the documentaries and such. And having those connections in Buckingham Palace seemed like a good idea, right? But it didn't pan out. Harry, what's his name? Edward. Edward's productions were a bit lackluster, and of course, when it comes to Sophie, well, her management skills were in the toilet. Not to mention, at her PR firm, oh, you wouldn't believe some of the debauchery that was going on at the Wessex, oh, well, not Wessex, but the Reese Jones PR firm that she owned. Jeannie Bond, remember Piranha Face Jeannie Bond? It has been unmitigated disaster for Edward and is going to be quite hard to see a way ahead. But I think it's down to the royal family, Lord Luce, to see if they, Edward and Sophie, have to be reined back. This is because of all of the. Listen, y'all, I'm telling you, go and look up Sophie's headlines from the past because they are salacious. Let me see. For a couple who claim to be in the media, Edward and Sophie, let's drop the royal titles because there is nothing stately about them. Are astonishingly ignorant about the way this business works. To try to dodge the blame for keeping a film crew in St. Andrews long after everyone else had gone. Well, see, the thing is, even though they had an agreement with the press that they wouldn't go to St. Andrews messing with William, eventually Edward went to St. Andrews and he turned to his nephew, hoping to boost the image of his production company. And so he was the one that really was invading the privacy of Prince William, something that he should have known better. So their feeble excuse showed how pathetic and cack handled they really are. Edward and Sophie have artlessly managed to bring down their professions, royalty and PR, into disrepute. The best punishment, let them be ignored from now on. Wow. I mean, you all, I'm telling you, they had been up to it. Sophie Reese Jones is nothing but an ambitious PR on the make. We know her sort. We know her game. We have absolutely no respect for her or her arrogant husband. She's even tried to order a TV producer to apologize to Edward, although the Wessex weasel knew they were still filming William. No, Sophie, you and Edward should say sorry. And when you've done that, perhaps you would both just shut up. That was in one of the papers back in the day. That was in one of the papers. Huh. That's not the Sophie that they are all celebrating right now. The real Sophie, that's the real Sophie right there, yelling at the royal protection officers, trying to be a big shot. That's why she started hanging out with the Queen. That's why she started hanging out with the Queen. And right here, I've seen this photo so many times. This is from a squatty. I've seen this photo so many times, but today I realized that most probably Kate was supposed to stand in the gap between Meghan and Charlotte. But Mean Girl can't bring herself to stand beside Meghan, even for a few minutes. Hence, she went to the second row behind the others. Now, I did not catch that before. I did not catch that, but look at it. Now, you know, Kate loves to be up front. Y'all know she loves to be up front. She won't even stand behind her child just to make sure that she's not next to Meghan. That's the three of them being as cruel and mean and vicious as possible. The Queen is dead and they go on the attack. They made sure that everybody knew what they were thinking. This is all performative. This is saying a lot and saying nothing at the same time. And there's Meghan, the most beautiful, elegant of all. No brooch, tiny diamond earrings that the Queen gifted her, and that beautiful outfit. And that's it. That's all she needed. And that is the most memorable silhouette of the day. That is the most memorable silhouette of the day. The others, not so much. Still can't get over how people at the front were so happy and satisfied alienating a woman of color or anyone at all, and believe this was a good thing to do. You have to be so uncaring and heartless to treat another human being so callously and disgracefully. History will judge British royal family for this. That was the words of another squatty. It was retweeted by the person from the upper paragraph. Yeah. So I saw this and I was like, wow, let me take another look. Let me take another look. And that is why I started going through this. Because of that tweet, I had to go back and take another look at it. Because of that tweet. If you're wondering why all of a sudden this, well, somebody posted that tweet and that had me take a look back at things. And I promise you, I'm not going to ever forget Sophie Rees-Jones. I'm not. I cannot wait for karma to come a-calling. And the same goes for the other two. Yep, the same goes for the other two. That's the new Fab Four that I showed you earlier. Will and Kate, Sophie and Edward. That's the new Fab Four. Now, Christopher Bosie, as you know, the past couple days, he has. Let me explain this before I go any further. Let me explain this, just so that there's no confusion. Let me go back to. Is this it? Okay. Wait. Nope, that's not it. But Christopher Bosie is a hoot. God, is he funny? I mean, he's a cut up. So let me do this. Now, right here, this is how it's. Well, nope, that's not how it started. I'm gonna have to go back one more. I'm gonna have to go back one more. Give me a second, you all. uh, hmm. I'm going to have to go back just one more. Wait, do I? That's 29, 28. I think it was 28. Hold on. Okay, let's take it from the top. So, Christopher Bosey says, pro tip, don't spend 3+ years mocking Meghan Markle's appearance and children, and then share a photo of your unwashed legs and feet on a dingy mattress on the floor. Let's see. Ulevi says Karma has already come to visit. None of them is loved by their respective husbands, and Meghan is loved by hers. It's all show. They are miserable that and in their marriages. I am going to agree with that. Yes. Sherry Ware says Ford Fiesta upgraded to Ford Escape of the Duchess title has a dumpy body and she has the nerves to be a mean girl. Well, I'm going to say that she does remind me of, you know what it reminds me of? Do you remember when, what's his name? The one that played in that movie, Tootsie? By the way, thank you for your comments, guys. What's his name? Played Tootsie. Anyway, if you remember that actor that played Tootsie, he kind of had when he was dressed up as a woman, he looked kind of dumpy. He was had a little dumpy. Sophie. He looked kind of Sophie, which is the new dumpy. Dustin Hoffman, thank you so much. So yeah, she kind of reminds me of Dustin Hoffman. Dustin Hoffman in the movie Tootsie. She kind of reminds me of Dustin Hoffman in the movie Tootsie. So, well, you can see, yes, I can see the dumpiness, absolutely. So, there, and that's what she reminds me of. Now, back over here. Anyway, so that's how it started, is because of this picture right here. Now, just so we're clear, the person who posted this is a hater. They cannot stand Meghan. They hate Meghan. They don't like they don't want anything to do with the Sussexes. As a matter of fact, this is a person who's supposed to talk about antiques and stuff like that. And one day she mentioned Meghan, and all of a sudden she had viewers coming out of the woodworks. So she posted a picture, and I've seen her videos before. She do look like she needs to take a good bath, but she posted this picture, and Christopher Bosey, realizing who was actually asking for sympathy, decided to go there. And so he wasn't done yet, because then the next day he posts this. Meghan Markle trolls didn't like me mocking the troll with the unwashed leg and feet. So now they're begging people to donate to Nate the lawyer. Nate already already had his meritless case dismissed, and in his amended complaint, he is my biggest fan. So they were trying to go after Christopher Bosey. And of course, when he decided to slap back at them, he posted a very grisly looking extremity, that foot you see up there, comparing it to this foot, which I can definitely see that there is a case to be made that they kind of look very similar. So uh, Yeah, so as you can see, Christopher Bosie has quite a sense of humor. And so today he posted this. I don't want to show the person's face, so I'm going to substitute somebody else who acts like they should be married to Harry. But if you know, you know. The person who has that channel is a beast. You hear me? A beast. Oh, ugh, she just looks ugh. Anyway, that person who has a hate channel, who looks unwashed, unbathed, unkept, no frills, no nothing. Just you always get the notion to just take a scrub brush to her when you see her. Anyway, Christopher Bosie says, I'm willing to bet she thinks she had a chance to marry Harry. Ugh, ugh. So that is the latest from Christopher Bosie on that particular troll, and well deserved because she is cruel, mean, and vicious. And she has a following. I mean, her channel has grown because of the hostile videos toward the Sussexes. And of course, like most of the hate channels, she has also perpetuated a whole bunch of those conspiracies about the Sussexes. So, um, again, I am using Angela Levin as a substitute for the actual troll, although I think Angela Levin is a troll in her own right, but I'm using her as a substitute for that um, very beastly looking person behind her picture. So, okay, so that was it. So now you're all caught up. It started here, it went there, and now we're over here. Oh, Christopher Bosie, thank you so much for that. Thank you, thank you, and thank you. Now, you all, I am feeling a little sad. I am feeling a little sad. I have to tell you, I miss Buddy. I really do miss Buddy. Buddy, the Invictus Games, that magical 7-day period, and all the days that led up to it, all the excitement and the anticipation. I am missing Buddy. Yeah. Buddy was the mascot for the Invictus Games, and Buddy has been endeared in the hearts of everyone. So, cheers to Buddy. As a matter of fact, speaking of which, why don't we, huh? Why don't we? Here goes. All right, Buddy. I miss Buddy. Okay, so there is Buddy and the Sussexes. And did you guys know that Buddy has a Mercedes Benz? Buddy is probably doing okay. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that at this point, Buddy is represented by what's that agency that Meghan belongs to? I'm pretty sure he's represented by the the Emmanuel guy. Leslie L says, "Hi, Baron and Squatties, Marshar. Can we have a moment of silence for those brave ants who lost their lives at the Okay. Okay. Moment of silence granted. As a matter of fact, the proper way to salute the ants and their sacrifice. The only way I know that we can salute them is like this. One more time. Thanks for the memories, for chomping on the rotted flesh and doing your very best. Thanks for the memories. Oh, Shelly L. That was a good one. Thank you so much for that. We are having too much fun tonight, I think. We're going to have to do this again, like tomorrow night. Let me see here. VS Speaks Royally. Thank you so much for being here. The William Morris agency, right? That's the one I'm looking for, William Morris. And take a look there. High five for the Duchess of Sussex. And there's Harry, leaning like light-skinned Harry. All he needs is a diamond in the back and a sunroof top. Digging the scene with a gangster lean, right? That's all he needs. And, of course, the most recent photos of Buddy, where Buddy and Harry are marching off into the Invictus Games sunset. So I guess we're done with Buddy. We're not going to see Buddy again. And I found this one today. This is Buddy being used as a bit of a resting handrest for, or as Harry saying, talk to the hands. I'm not sure exactly what's going on here. But yeah, I went digging and I found this one, which is pretty cool. I have not seen this one until today. I had to dig for it, but I found it. And right here, here's another one. Bet you haven't seen this one either. Buddy is photobombing. There he is. There's Buddy photobombing the Duchess of Sussex. I hope they've properly trademarked Buddy. He needs an Invictus store with tons of merch and Invictus swag. A little stuffed Buddy bear in the Instagram shirt makes a great souvenir. Yeah, well, or stuffed dog. I think Buddy is supposed to be a dog, I think. And take a look here, you guys. This really, okay. I was starting to feel a little emotional when I saw this. The last social media post from Invictus Games, Dusseldorf, is online. I look back on a long journey that began for me in November 2020 when I set up the channel. As of today, they are officially at a standstill. The digital team, IG23, signs off, and it was an honor. Oh my God, that's so sad. That's so sad. I'm getting emotional. And then over here, it says, and it's a wrap. In the Home for Respect, the IG23 social media team is officially handing over to our amazing colleagues at the Invictus Games 2025. It was an honor and a privilege to share our competitors' stories with you and getting to build an amazing community like this one. As we bid farewell, we ask you to please follow Invictus Game 2025 Invictus Games 25 is what it says there. And our friends from We Are Invictus. And don't leave just yet, because this channel will live on with the Invictus Games 2027 and wherever the Invictus journey will take us then. See you in Vancouver, Whistler, in just 495 days. And thank you for being a part of our journey over the last 3 years. Oh, 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 oh. I'm telling you, that made me very, very emotional. So that is the team behind the account right there. And yes, they are going to hand it over. Yep, they are going to hand it over. So just like when they lowered the flag, I was just like, is this supposed to be sad? I feel like I'm saying goodbye. But the best part about it is you get to say hello again. So, but that's how it's done. Now, K9 Production Office, social media, IG 23. Okay, so that's the social media team right there. I think they did an amazing job. I really do. As a matter of fact, all right. All right. Well, how about that, you guys? Now I feel like it's officially over. You all are having a party over there, and I feel like I'm missing something. Yes, that's what I was thinking. You know, it's just like, do you remember Paul Mooney? Paul Mooney said, when it comes to white people, they change everything. Paul Mooney said that the white people that moved up in Harlem, they don't have rats. They have, what did he call it? Field mice or something? No, not field mice, but prairie dogs. Anyway, they won't say rat, not if it has to do with them. And then he said, the white people that moved to Harlem, they don't have roaches. They got water bugs. They're like, oh my goodness, I have a water bug invasion. And of course, Paul Mooney used quite a few expletives to say those are not water bugs, those are roaches. You have a you have a roach problem. And so if this is anything like what Paul Mooney was talking about, instead of admitting that she has bed bugs, she's going to say that she was attacked by fire ants, right? See what I mean? So Paul Mooney was right. Paul Mooney was right. Everything changed when white folks is involved. Instead of having bed bugs, it was fire ants. Instead of roaches, it's water bugs. Instead of rats, is squirrels or whatever they called it. So, yep, that's what Paul Mooney said. Yep, it's called denial. It's called denial. Right? Right? I remember he said that, and that's what I thought about when I saw that unwashed leg and foot, is that it was probably bed bugs. Can it be that it was all so simple then? Or has time rewritten every line? And if we had a chance to do it all again, tell me, would we? Could we? Memories. Do, 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 do. Yes, you guys, it seems like it is officially over. I'm sorry I saw this tweet, and because it made me feel sad, I figured I would share it with you. Now, inside GB News Meltdown, 5 days that left a TV station in crisis. Dan Wooten ignored earpiece orders from senior management to apologize for Lawrence Fox's outburst. So this is what they're referring to. Dan Wooten's dramatic downfall. These past 48 hours have drawn some fitting comparisons to Al Capone getting done for tax invasion, rather. all of a sudden, he's persona non grata, that's Latin for he ain't nowhere to be found, at GB News, not because of multiple well secured allegations of serious misconduct and workplace harassment that have clouded him for months, but because he sat grinning gormlessly. Um, oh, sorry about that. Um, like a wallaby getting is fun parts tickled, as one of like a wallaby getting its rubber parts tickled. As one of his guests delivered a hugely sexist rant unchecked. However, there was a little more going on behind the scenes, even though on screen he may have just looked hopelessly out of his depth. The reason Wooten has incurred the wrath of his bosses is because he was repeatedly and actively ignoring multiple management commands. From the start of Fox's rant, the voice in Dan's earpiece was telling him to stop Fox, to push back and apologize. But he turned it out. Then one of the senior bods drafted an apology for him to read out after the item, and he skipped past it on the, what is it, auto cue. I think that means teleprompter. Then the top brass were on the phone to the studio insisting Dan apologize on air, and he just didn't. Now, this is someone who has an overinflated ego, who seems to think because of the numbers that he has generated for a television station or television network, if you will, that has lacked advertising. I mean, if you could see that studio, it's not much of a studio, not in the traditional sense. It is basically green screens and a desk and some furniture. That's it. There's no big team of people, all of those monitors that you see observing the world. None of that stuff is legitimate. Now, right here, you can see Harry and Meghan's Archewell Foundation has helped fund a report examining the role that news media organizations play in spread escalation and encouragement of online hate speech in Australia. Very interesting. Well, Dan Wooten is from New Zealand, and Australia seems to be the epicenter of right-wing hate speech when it comes to the right-wing media, like the Fox News owned by Rupert Murdoch, and all the other media that's owned by Rupert Murdoch. And if not Rupert Murdoch, of course, there's Lord Nappyhead of the Daily Mail, among other people who own media. So I made a video that I'm going to post later, and I thought it was really important because it gives you instructions on how to find the reports that the Sussexes have helped to subsidize. Here we go. Online hate speech is a particularly visible and toxic element of social division. It fosters the negative targeting of communities, diminishes people's well-being, erodes social cohesion, and is linked to violence as well as knee-jerk, counterproductive policy design. Within our complex and evolving information ecosystems, news media institutions have enormous power to influence public discussion and catalyze online activity. For this reason, they require special attention and accountability when it comes to online hate. In this two-part study, we explore the roles that news media institutions play in the spread and escalation of online hate speech in Australia. Our research has produced practical examples and analysis to support policymakers, community advocates, news media practitioners, technologists, and other stakeholders working to reduce these harms. Part 1. The dynamics of hate speech. Online explores the roles news media actors play in online hate speech to spotlight the challenges faced by stakeholders today. We have provided 4 rich case studies that illuminate different ways in which hate speech germinates around news publishing online. We found that the very explicit component of online hate is just one part of a bigger picture that includes negative framing of communities by the media, deficit discourse, and a system of incentives that shape relationships between news media and their sources. We argue that approaches that consider online hate speech without these broader spheres of activity risk missing a crucial element of how online hate manifests. This may, in part, explain why current efforts that take a more narrow focus are failing to curb it. Part 2. Curbing dehumanizing hate speech. Online looks at how these patterns pose major challenges for existing approaches and outlines pathways for change. We begin by reviewing the patchwork of federal and state legislation and regulation that applies to online hate speech and news media publishing in Australia. We then explore the challenges and loopholes posed by this approach and examine possible solutions and barriers to address these issues. Finally, we look to other opportunities outside the regulatory framework that could reduce the prevalence and harm of online hate. These approaches include tools for greater moderation, monitoring, and analysis of dehumanizing hate speech, to education initiatives for journalists, as well as coalitions for greater research and knowledge sharing. We conclude the report with recommendations to address these challenges and continue building our understanding. Download Part 1, The Dynamics of Hate Speech Online. Download Part 2, Curbing Dehumanizing Hate Speech Online. Purpose is continuing this work to understand and counter online hate. If you are dealing with these challenges or working to build social cohesion, they would love to hear from you. Every meaningful change starts with a conversation. Get in touch at purpose.com. Okay, so there you go. So if you are interested, that is how you will find that. I will make sure that I add that to the community tab later, along with the link in case you didn't catch it that time. So almost half of young Black Britons plan to migrate amid racism concerns, landmark study highlights. More than 10,000 Black British people were surveyed for research led by The Voice newspaper, Britain's longest-running Black publication. Almost half of young Black British people plan to leave the country amid wider concerns of Hold on, let me pull that down, make sure I get that right. Societal racism. Landmark research launched on the eve of Black History Month has revealed. Oh, so maybe that's why William is going to Cardiff to try to prevent them from leaving. Maybe he's trying to stop the people from leaving, right? More than 10,000 Black British people were surveyed for the Black British Voices Project between November 2021 and March of 2022. The research, a collaboration between British African Caribbean newspaper The Voice, Cambridge University, and Black-led consultancy iCube, covered 16 topics including Britishness, education, and the workplace. while 45% of the under 25s said they regard Britain as their permanent home. 39% indicated that they aspire to live elsewhere in the future, with the remainder either saying they do not know or prefer not to say. When participants were asked if they were proud to be British, 49% indicated that they were either definitely or somewhat proud to be British. That's really sad. That is really sad. And that is what the right wing wants. That is what the nationalists, that is what racists want, is for you to feel as though you're a guest in your own home, to make you feel unwelcomed. Because as long as those sentiments are a part of your psyche, you are going to be less productive or less likely to participate in the greater society. Or if it angers you enough to push back, you are likely to leave society. But there's very few people, I'm afraid, that are going to fight to improve things at home, especially when there's opportunities in other places where you don't have the aristocracy, the class system, as you have in the UK. I've said it before, and I will say it one more time. Aside from Africa, outside of Africa, there is no place on planet Earth where you're more likely to become a Black billionaire. I know there are Black billionaires that have residence in the United Kingdom, but that is not where their money came from. That's where their money ended up. That's not where it came from. You're not going to be born Black in Britain and become a billionaire. They are not going to let that happen. They're not going to let that happen. They barely want anybody white to become a billionaire. They don't want that to happen. They want to maintain that social divide, because if you allow too many people that haven't gone to public school to get that kind of money, then you could really change the politics, and they are not going to let that happen. That is reserved for people who have gone to Oxford and Cambridge and Eton and St. Andrews and all that. That is for them, not for anybody else. So I pray someday there will be some person of African descent born in the United Kingdom that grows up to become a billionaire, grows up to become prime minister. But in the meantime, I'm not going to hold my breath. It's just not the way it's done. Isn't that what they said to Meghan? It's just not done. That's not done. It's just not done that way. So it is sad, but unfortunately, it is true. So they don't want too many people to have too much in the UK. It's just a fact. You can have a full career, you can have a prosperous life, but to be born outside of that social class system and be a one percenter, yeah, you can if your money comes from someplace else, but you're not going to make it there. They're not going to make it there. And that is a problem. That is a problem. And I'm convinced that that's why so many people would want to leave, because you don't feel as though the possibility is there. You know, it's no different from someone born in the wrong zip code here in the US. I mean, there are some people that will live and die and never leave their zip code. We have that. But there's a greater possibility that if you choose to, that you could go to California and make your fortune. You go to New York and make your fortune. Black people during the 1920s and 30s, even before that, we did the same thing here in the US. That is how Josephine Baker ended up in Europe. That is how so many Black people from the US ended up in Europe because at the time, those things were not possible, except we did have Madam C.J. Walker, who arguably was the first Black female billionaire, self made billionaire. I'm not millionaire, not billionaire. And of course, there was her rival, who other people said was first, but it was possible. It was possible. But for someone who wanted to have a good music career or even be an airplane pilot, like Josephine, what's her name, Bessie Coleman, you had to go to Europe. And even there, they were greeted with racism. So we have lived that history here in the US. But after the civil rights movement, a lot changed. The only reason why it was possible for someone like Madam C.J. Walker was because there was just so much prosperity. There was such a large Black community in the US. I mean, if the Black community in the US was a nation unto itself, it would be, well, let me see, I forgot what the figure is, but there's a lot of wealth within the Black community in the United States, more than some nations. So that's one of the reasons why it's possible for a Tyler Perry or an Oprah Winfrey, because if it wasn't for the Blacks that supported them, they wouldn't have been able to make it as far as they have. That is why there's so many white people that love to have Black people as customers. Having African Americans as customers is something that really pays off. And that is why there's so many companies in the US that cater to Black hair care and such, is because the Black dollar is powerful. There's some nations in Africa that would be lucky to have as much wealth as there is in the Black community here in the US. Very, very, very powerful. The only thing is, we just don't realize it as much. We don't keep the money in our community, but we do have a lot of it. So you may not agree with what I said, but that's just the way I see it. I may have gotten a few of those things wrong, but that's just the way I see it. What's that? There are about 14 Black billionaires in the US. Yeah, so there's the 14 plus that are in the 1%, the 1% of the 1%. There's about 14 of them. So it's possible. And believe me, like I said, we didn't always have that here. There was a few, but still more likely here than any other place outside of the continent of Africa, where you can be born in this country and rise to the top. But most countries, again, I'm not talking about Africa, I'm talking about outside of Africa. Most countries, they are not going to make room for that. They're just not. So there you go. Now I'll wait for the comments for somebody to say, there is Black billionaires in the UK. Were they born there? Did they make their money there? Or did they just show up with the money and decided to maintain a home in the UK? That's what I'm talking about. That's my caution is, were they born there? Okay, so here's yet another example. Now, I've been on this kick for a few days. I still say that a lot of inspiration for the character Asha, the new Disney princess, who is of mixed race, Latina and Black, or Black Latina. I do believe that a great deal of the inspiration came from the Duchess of Sussex. I'm looking at the eyebrows, the lips, the nose. I promise the Duchess of Sussex. But Recollections may vary. Uh, uh, thank you, Obi. I appreciate that. And trust me, I don't want to be right. I wish it wasn't that way, but as evident by that article, they are driving some very hardworking, intelligent people away, and maybe that's exactly what they want to do is to um, take away any will to want to stay. So let's see here. You think so? I think so. Let me see. Black shops can't sell a lot of weaves because they don't allow them to buy them as they need. Yeah. Did you ever see the documentary where the one black woman who owns a beauty supply, she had actually gone to Asia to try to buy the weave direct instead of, buying it from a Korean shop. She was trying to buy it direct, and unfortunately, she ran into a lot of resistance and a lot of roadblocks. And then there's also someone who is trying to make sure that the people that supply the hair, the people who are cutting their hair themselves, they want to try to make sure that they are making some money, because the thing is, a lot of the hair is sourced from Asia and from India, but the people that are actually supplying the human hair, they're not making much money. They're not getting a fair trade. And so this one black woman who owns a beauty supply, she was trying to cut out the middleman, and she ran into one roadblock after the other. There's kind of like a cartel for the beauty supply industry. And, that makes me really suspicious, because you have a lot of black people in Central and Latin America, North America, um, in particular, you have a lot of black people in Brazil, and let's not forget people in the motherland in Africa. And you're buying these products, and we don't know what ingredients they're putting in that stuff. We have no idea what ingredients they're using. A lot of those products do not have the same type of safety precautions that comes from the various ministries of health or the Department of Health in the US. They don't have that. So people are buying stuff, and you don't even know what's in it. You don't know how toxic it is. So that's something to think about. And the community is already under a lot of pressure financially and spiritually, but then to buy products that are inferior, that is something that always concerns me when it comes to the black community, is what are we consuming? Now, Top British Museum admits more than 1,000 important military items and dinosaur fossils have been lost, destroyed, or stolen. The Imperial War Museum and Natural History Museum have disclosed that important military items and dinosaur fossils have been lost or stolen. Why are the British museums asking the public for help finding missing artifacts? Well, you know what? I can guarantee you that if you look among some of the people within that institution, we can find where some of the missing jewelry has gone. I can only imagine. Also, if it's fossils that you're looking for, look no further. We have seen a fossil on parade in Paris. It even says here, please return this item to the British Museum. So I think that this may be the missing link, no pun intended. This may be the missing link. I think if you can get this back to the museum, you will be able to establish you will be able to establish where some of the other missing and or stolen pieces have gone. So let's start with this and then work our way out, shall we? I mean, this would be a big coup here. If they can get this back on display, I'm pretty sure all the dominoes will fall. So, how long did you think I was going to be serious? How long did you think I was going to be serious? Now, speaking of being serious, there is nothing more important than a nation that is celebrating the brotherhood or sisterhood of other nations through diplomacy. And one of the biggest acts of diplomacy is a state dinner. There's Barack Obama. He's at a white tie affair. So the host will request the attire. For women, formal, floor length gown, etc. And for the men, white tie and tails. So it is a fine tradition amongst the, I would say, the special relationship between the United States and Great Britain. There you have President Barack Obama with a white tie and tails. There is Prince Philip. He's wearing a white tie and tails. And there is George Walker Bush, W., wearing a white tie and tails. And as you can see, the Bush family is actually entertaining the Queen at the White House. Here you can see President Obama at Buckingham Palace. It's something that goes back and forth between both nations. And how nice of a gesture is that? It really connects the two countries. Now enters the Great Fatsby. Instead of the Great Gatsby, there's the Great Fatsby. When Donald Trump, who swears he weighs 220 pounds, went in there a whopping 300 plus pounds wearing a white tie and tails, as you can see, he looks like a big, fat, sloppy mess. The cut of the waistcoat or vest, if you will, the waistcoat is supposed to shadow that of the overcoat. Let me give you an example. You see how Barack Obama's, you can just barely see it. Prince Philip, you can barely see it. George Bush, you can barely see it because it's fitted to their bodies. Now, for some reason, Donald Trump missed the instructions that were given to dress accordingly. And so he has his waistcoat almost down to his knees. That's not the way it's supposed to be worn. It is supposed to just barely peek out beneath the overcoat. You are not supposed to come up in there looking like something left over from Easter. So for that reason, I have dubbed him the Great Fatsby. Take a look at John F. Kennedy, elegant, tall, slender. And then look at Donald Trump. Donald Trump, morbidly obese, sloppy, slouchy. His pants are too big. His waistcoat is too long. Everything is just wrong. And the poor Queen, the head of the Church of England, the head of the armed forces, the head of the courts, and just about everything else. There she is, her Royal Majesty, stuck between a fat slob and a first lady. I mean, he looks like a big, fat, sloppy mess. Money could not have been an option, an issue rather. That's just not how it's done. He looks a mess, look like a mess. And look at the Queen. Was this that occasion when she was trying to get Princess Anne to come and rescue her and she wouldn't come over? Now, the Queen obviously is thinking something in regards to the First Lady, which she probably wouldn't say publicly. Or oh well, I'm not going to say anything further than that. But the Queen looks very uncomfortable. The Queen looks like she is tortured with the idea that she has to entertain them, but that is what the government required. So, as you know, the Queen is a good soldier. She's going to do her duty, and that's all to it. But she is demonstrating her disdain in photo after photo. She has demonstrated her disdain. She looks like she's a schoolgirl standing next to Barack Obama. She looks like, as George Bush said, she reminds him of his own mother at the White House. But with Donald Trump, oh my goodness, it. If I didn't look at this correct, I would think it was Marie Antoinette on the way to the guillotine. I would have thought it was Marie Antoinette on her way to the guillotine. But instead, that was modern day Queen Elizabeth with the great Fatsby. Reba Henderson, you stop reading my mind. Stop reading my mind. So, there you go, the great Fatsby. And with that, you all, thank you very much for watching Royal Sussex. That will conclude our Royal Sussex for today. It has been a pleasure, per usual. Thank you so much for your very generous and kind donations to this channel. And thank you so much, moderators, for keeping this a safe space. Also, thank you to all the new subscribers that have joined us here on Royal Sussex. We like to have a good laugh every now and again. We talk about some very serious things here and there, but for the most part, it's a safe space where we can be here for each other, and that's all that matters. And whether or not you like and share, or if you're able to make a contribution or not, just being here, just keeping us company. But please hit that like button. Please do subscribe. That is also very helpful. And no bad energy, right? No bad energy, as the Duchess of Sussex would say. And we always end by honoring our queens, our real queens. The most meaningful queens for us is, of course, Doria and Diana. Teresa McDougall, thank you for being here. Oh, let me see. Sherry Ware has provided me with a list with the names of the donors. Thank you very much for that. Okay. Uh-oh. Where am I at here? Okay, so thank you very much, PP, for the PayPal, Judy Mutasid for the super chats, Connie Balmer for the super chat, and a super sticker rather, and Rick for the super sticker, MR. Thank you for the Cash App, Sean. Thank you for bringing messages from the great beyond. And Meghan Hine Murray, thank you for the super sticker, M. Covington super sticker. And Shelly L, thank you very much for the super sticker. Thank you, and thank you, and thank you. Could not have done it without the contributions, the likes, the shares, and subscriptions of each and every one of you. Thank you for 41,000 subscribers. And again, the instructions for the video I showed earlier, that will, I'm going to load that video later. And plus, I will put a link on the community tab. Oh, Cookies and Cream is providing us with the last word of the day. And that is, everyone, please stay safe, pray, don't peg, and hydrate. Also, Teresa McDougall has a closing thought for us. Health, wealth, inner peace, and abundance. I like that. Okay, well, thank you very much. And so we are going to end with the Ginger Avenger. Go, Ginge.